the ultimate deck podcast. Need a show about outdoor living? This is where it's at with your hosts, Shane Chapman and Way Laurent. Thank you for tuning in. Now let the show begin. Yeah, the ultimate deck podcast. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Deck Podcast on this sunny Tuesday evening. Wade Laurent, Shane Chapman here, and Korey, and whatever his last name is, and Scot Scheffield is here with us as well from Fortress. Both these guys, I don't know that they want to be known as being from Fortress today because we got stories to tell. Maybe the brand company doesn't want to be acknowledging your
too bad
employment with them.
They'll get over it
during this. So we're live on Instagram because these guys are here. Is this your first time in Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
Ever?
Yeah, ever.
Whole life. Okay, good. What about Canada? You've been to Ontario, obviously.
I've been to Ontario and I've been to BC. So this is my third time in Canada.
It doesn't get better than that. So you you got the two good ones out of the way.
So now that you have been here and you've been to Toronto and you've been to Vancouver and you're also from the United States of America.
Correct.
Does it now seem ridiculous when somebody says, "Oh yeah, I'm from Canada," and then you're like, "Oh, do you know Mike from Toronto?" Which is,
but you do
1,000 different Mike.
I know a couple Mikes from Toronto.
Caught you with that one.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. But like it's so now that you've seen some of the country, you've been to Toronto, Vancouver, now like the heart of the country,
for sure.
Saskatchewan. It's a big place.
Yeah.
We got a lot of
Real
stuff
big.
up here.
I would relate it to people say the same thing when they, "Oh, you're from Texas. Do you know so-and-so?" I'm like, bro, we have 8 million people in Dallas alone.
Yeah.
Of course I don't know them.
Of course I don't know them.
Well, you don't know much then.
It's a big place. Texas is a big place.
I told you Kevin would be in here. Haney's in here
Oh my
bright and
God.
early.
Haney's
so he's
already
got
here.
some shit for you to talk about. And so is Simcoe. Mike from Simcoe. Mike from Toronto is here.
Mike from Toronto
see?
is in there.
You do know Mike from Toronto.
Jason
sure do.
Varney's in here.
Did you know that Mike from Toronto stopped
TC
at
Ducks.
this location one time?
Who did?
Mike
Oh,
from
Mike.
Toronto?
Yeah, when we were first moving in.
We first moved in, we were kind of unpacking some stuff, and I think he came out with his uncle, and they had bought a motorhome or something, and they flew out here, and then they were driving the motorhome back.
Yep.
I believe is the story. And so he just stopped in one day and was like, "Are you okay? Hi."
How good of a deal does that motorhome have to be for you to be like, "That's cool. I'll drive for 3 days to bring that back."
You know what though? If anyone was going to find a deal like that, it was going to be a guy named Mike.
Right. Probably sent that
Fair.
quote to 17 dealers. Be like, "Can you do better? Can you do better? Can you do better?" Yeah, RV. He said it's an RV, baby. Whatever.
Recreational vehicle.
Sure. Haney says, "Wade, we all know Mike from Canada.
Yeah.
Simcoe rules, and Scott is the best that there is. You lucky bastards."
There you go.
See?
Right.
I'm just chopped liver.
Yeah. Speaking of Mikes from Canada, hey, Mike Forflow, you know him?
Heard of him.
I think you should slap him. Reach across the table, hit him, right me out.
You missed it. You were still in your meeting when I retold that story and took a shot at Korey again.
Poor
Mike,
Korey. Hey.
have a blast.
So you flew into the beautiful city of Regina, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Tell me about the plane you arrived
Oh
on.
my God. So this plane, I don't really know how to describe it, starts pulling up, and I'm like, wait, are those propellers? Last time I was on a prop plane, I jumped out of it. So for a plane to be pulling up at a commercial airport with propellers, I was a little confused.
If you would have asked nice enough, they probably would have let you jump out of it.
They might have.
Hey, Mike from Canada, do you mind if I crack the door opener here?
So
Well, let's go back to that. You legit jumped out of a plane?
yeah,
When?
when I was in the Marines.
Was it on fire?
No, not on fire.
You just chose to.
Yeah.
How high was it?
Were you the fire?
I
Were
was
you
the
going to
fire.
rain some shit down?
Damn right.
You jumped out, had your gun going, fucking shot your way down to the ground.
Something like that.
That's so good.
240 episodes,
I
and that's
F-bombed
the
it.
first F-bomb we've ever had. And it was really loose, too.
got
Just
you.
no hesitation.
Slipped out.
No,
I didn't mean to do that.
now we're gonna get taken off Apple.
Oh, no.
And God, Wade. Anyway, you jumped out of
Now
my...
I got to watch what I say. I forgot about
Well, you can do all kinds of words
Well, no,
other
it's
than
too
that
late
one, I
now.
think.
This is already X-rated podcast episode, so now
It's
your
the free for all this
gates are
one.
wide open.
So yeah, sitting at the airport, prop plane comes up, and I'm like, okay, I guess I have no choice. You know, took my PTSD medication and all those kind of things and got on the plane. Not really.
Yeah. They call it Adderall.
Right. Yeah. Then the prop starts, and I hear this buzzing sound like a bee.
Yep.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Right. I know.
This?
Hey, it's
Like,
happening. It's
am I
X-rated.
gonna die?
Was there another one? I missed it. I was reading comments.
There was. Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, let's end this. Trying to get a bunch of responsible adults on this thing.
And so halfway through, I started videoing the propeller because I'm like, this is weird. I've never really watched this before. And I'm looking at the video, and through the video, the propeller's not spinning.
This is today.
Yes,
Okay,
today.
yeah.
And I'm kind of freaking out a little bit because I'm looking at the video of the propeller on the plane, and the propeller's not spinning.
Yep.
And it took me a second to realize that's just the video recording at the same rate the propeller's spinning.
Right. Yeah. It's the same refresh rate. Holding still.
Today we learned
Down.
about frame rates. So on the Alto Deck podcast.
That freaked me out a little bit.
I guess so.
And then about 30 minutes later, the plane started shaking pretty violently. Not turbulent shaking, like the whole thing just started rattling.
Just kind of like it was loose.
Yeah.
Yeah. A wobbly tire.
Yeah. So
And then I moved my phone to the pilot, and he also wasn't moving. So that was a little concerning as well.
So it's really funny. We obviously fly into here all the time. It's one of the only places I come to
You can't
Sure.
drive out.
on the plane. It's not uncommon for us to ride a prop plane into Regina or Saskatoon. That is how you get here. That's how it is, man.
it's an exciting way to start the week.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I don't like about the prop planes is that, and I don't know that I've ever taken one other than between here and Calgary. Like you catch the odd flight between here and Calgary, and there's 80 people, so so it goes on one of those little guys. But they, and I know this every single time because they all do it. Every flight, they get to a certain altitude and they really slow the RPMs down. And every time you're like, well, shit. Like, that's why to get quiet in here? We're still climbing. Why is it?
No longer require full throttle.
Yeah.
Just 3/4
Gets
throttle
me
will
every
do
time.
now.
Well,
That's every time.
you know, when you're on a small prop plane, you expect some wild things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But on a commercial flight that size, I thought it would be a little more stable.
Yeah.
And not so much.
Well, that's good. Now you have a really good experience.
Yeah.
A near death experience.
What a segue. So
So
we hear you just got
My
back
transition
from
game is on point.
right. We hear you just got back from, I don't know what they called it, but one of the legacy experiences.
Yeah.
Legacy Decks, Legacy Academy experiences.
yeah,
And you told us that you got high as
Wade.
he's kept the F-bombs away now.
I would have said shit. Ah, shit.
Yeah, sure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, like, we just heard the story before we came on, but feel free to give all the details that you left out before.
Yeah. So we did a breath work exercise.
Okay. Sounds
Sa-
exhausting.
Sounds about what you would think. We just sat around and breathed on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hot.
Yeah. It was hot. It kind of was hot. So we had this gentleman that was like some kind of breath work guru, Sherpa, something,
Okay.
come in and guide us through a controlled breath work exercise where we would have to breathe in a certain rhythm, certain style to achieve a higher state of meditation. So in the beginning, I thought it was a bunch of garbage.
Absolutely. As is pretty much anything that like hokey people tell me.
Yes.
Like eat vegetables, good for you.
Right.
That's crap.
And I really wouldn't consider myself a hokey person. So
You're closer.
I'm closer now after doing this.
Sounds like you're lacking self-awareness.
But in the moment, I was extremely skeptical, but I said, why not?
Sure, you're there.
Let's give this a try.
Yep.
And we go through this breathwork exercise thing, and I may or may not have had some hallucinations.
Like, this is crazy. So you actually did tell this story, and you said that that you hallucinated.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Have you ever tried breathing heavy before?
Yeah. When we were in Edmonton, I walked up a hill.
Right.
So no hills in Saskatchewan. That's not totally true, but there are
hills in
very
Regina.
there's very few. So Shane had shin splints that I'm still hearing about, and I was winded. So yeah, I have been breathing heavy just recently.
So
I didn't hallucinate though.
The whole idea behind this is to adjust the oxygen to carbon dioxide ratio in your bloodstream
Okay.
and releases the DMT naturally in your brain and can lead to hallucinations, higher level of consciousness, and deeper meditative states. And
You could also get to the same place by sucking the wheels off a tailpipe in a car to adjust those ratios in your blood too. But
Yes.
this sounds a
Yes.
touch healthier.
Yes. And it was a pretty powerful experience, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. So like jokes aside, what happened? You told us you told us
Yeah.
some pretty cool stuff.
So I at one point I just randomly stopped breathing uncontrollably and had a vision of a closed door with some light shining from behind it.
Was there a door in the room you were in?
No.
So that like even the door was
I mean,
a
there were
hallucination.
doors like
Not
off
where
to the
you were
side, but
looking.
nothing that I could see.
Wasn't the door you were seeing.
okay.
Right. And then I realized, oh wait, I'm not breathing.
Yep.
So I better start breathing again.
Yep.
And then that stopped. And then a few minutes later, I stopped breathing again. And then I see the door open and the light shining through. And then I was like, oh, wait, I'm not breathing again. So then a few minutes after that, I see myself through the door and I see all these happy moments and high points in my life. I see me sitting by the lake fishing with my son. I see some times I spent with my dad riding motorcycles. I see some times with my grandfather and things that happened with my children and just a lot of things in my life that brought me joy and happiness.
So, were these things were you like seeing, was it like you were in that moment and then it changed? Or was it a whole bunch of like tiny little TV screens?
It was like a whole bunch of little just memories kind of
in the
like
air.
flashing of different
Crazy.
things. And to be honest, it scared me. I was freaked out,
Sure.
like really bad. And then the guy leading this kind of had us stop doing the breathing and had us, calm down a little bit. And it was talking about a lot of it. We went through this exercise about self-forgiveness and, not being so hard on yourself and getting rid of the negative self-talk and all of these things that we all do.
Yeah.
I mean, we all do it. We talked about how if someone talked to our wives or loved ones or kids the way we talk to ourselves, we'd beat the crap out of them. But we allow ourselves to speak to ourselves that way.
That's
all
a
the
really
time.
good exercise, right? To actually sort of change the mindset like that.
Yeah.
The other part of that story that I found super interesting was all of the highlights in your life didn't include your wife. You talked about your son and your dad and your grandpa.
I didn't know if those were appropriate to speak on in this segment.
Oh no, there were a few.
Yeah, already F
They
bombs.
were there. But yeah, it was a powerful experience.
I guess so.
What about you, Corey? You do any wicked shit this weekend? I'm kidding. Scott, tell me more about it.
No, a lot of the people, myself included, related it to almost like doing mushroom experience, if you will.
There's so much talk right now. This is not true. Not in the world. I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan podcasts, so it's not really in the world. But he
In Joe's world.
He
Okay.
talks about it a lot. Man, and there are a lot of people that he has on his podcast that talk about like the positive effects of playing around with hallucinogenics and just like unlocking some thought patterns and
Yeah.
Microdosing.
yeah. But I think some of the guys he has on there are macro dosing.
Yeah.
There are a few. There are quite a few.
Yeah, and I think that the macro dosing is just a way to unlock so that the micro dosing can work later. Because if you only ever microdose, I don't think you can really fully understand what it's like to be on a trip. So
It was just
True.
not only was it a wild experience, and I did some research behind it. I read 2 articles.
post
Yes.
Okay.
Did my own research.
And it talked about how when someone experiences a near-death experience, the same DMT is released, and that's why people see the white light like they're going to heaven or whatever they compare it to.
Yep.
It's the same type of situation.
This is a serious question. I mean, you did stop breathing before this happened. Do you think that is related? It's like
It's possible.
because your brain got low on oxygen, and then what brains do when they start to die.
Yeah, they
like
throw it into survival mode, right?
Yeah.
What's weird is all of this was accomplished just through breathing.
breathing. Yeah, that's wild.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I was the biggest skeptic, but it happened.
Well, I don't know that you were that big of a skeptic. Like, you were in the room.
I was in
There's
the
a pretty
room,
good chance I wouldn't be in the room.
But
So
the whole time the guy's talking, I'm in my head like, this is a bunch of bullshit. This isn't going to work. I'm just going to sit here and laugh at you the whole time you're trying to tell me to do this.
yeah.
And that was not what happened.
Okay. Well, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a good story. Okay, Korey, follow that.
They were piping nitrogen into the room.
Maybe.
I don't have that story.
Follow that up.
You don't
Korey.
have to have that story. You could do a different story.
But we were in. I'll lead you. We were all at the same comedy festival this past weekend in Edmonton.
Yeah.
At least you were there for part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I attended the Friday show, and you guys stayed for the rest of the weekend, but we met up on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were supposed to hold a spot for us. You did a terrible job of that.
It was
He did a great job of holding the spots. Just the spots were
Yeah, that's actually
very
true.
holdable. Nobody else wanted them.
So we go to this
that's fair.
we go to this giant outdoor comedy festival, and like as per usual, we get away late, and so we're not going to be on time. Call Korey. Or maybe you called us and you were like, I'm here already. And it was like, we were just getting to Edmonton. So we're an hour behind schedule. And I was like, okay, well, when you get that spot, just try and hold a spot for us and we'll come sit with you. And he's like, yeah, sounds good. And then I don't know, it was a half an hour later, he texts and he's like, guys, like if you could hurry, that'd be great. Cause holding these seats in a rush seating event is really, really starting to be hard. Like people aren't interested in us holding these spots for you. So anyways, we ended up
It was a
getting,
bit of a battle.
But
Yeah.
you did a good job.
we
They
did
were
a
still
pretty
there.
good job. We got there.
Yeah.
We got seats.
There was a lot of people moving that tried to sit there because
Yeah.
the view wasn't splendid. But,
It was a tricky one. It was just kind of like a rolling hill. And at first glance, you don't notice it. And then you set your chair down, sit down. And I was like, well, shoot, I lost the
I'm
whole
on the
stage.
bottom of the hill. Yeah.
So it was a grassy knoll. We were on the bottom of the grassy knoll.
Who was the funniest person you saw?
Probably Bert Kreischer. He made me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he
Yeah?
made me laugh the most. For real.
I thought,
it was
like, post Bert Kreischer show, I thought you and I both said Andrew Schultz.
nope. I might have been Rhonda. Me, I said Bert Kreischer.
No, Rhonda was Shane Gillis. So I thought
but
the
I
order
was
for me,
laughing so hard.
there was 4 headliners, like 3 nights. Andrew Schultz, Shane Gillis, Kevin Hart,
Yeah.
and Bert Kreischer were the 4 headliners.
Yeah, Whitney Cumming.
And I
Whitney
would say
Cummings
that they
opened
were
for me.
like, I would go, from what I enjoyed anyways, I think probably Andrew Schultz by a hair, then Shane Gillis, then Bert Kreischer, then Kevin Hart. They were all really good. Not to, I don't know why I was pointing on you the whole time. You're not even talking. Sup? But that would have been my order. And there's actually an opener, I don't remember his name, for Andrew Schultz, and Shane Gillis is really good too.
Todd Hess, maybe?
Something like that. He had like
Todd
long curly
something.
hair and whatever. He was pretty funny.
Kevin Hart was the worst.
Like, I don't want to say he was the worst. He was actually better than I expected.
Okay.
But of the 4, I would rank him 4th.
Because he's short.
That was part of it. No, like he
There
was
was
just
some,
like,
like-
just his type of comedy. I just find like Andrew Schultz and Shane Gillis were going to be hard for anybody to beat in my mind because I'm just like huge fans of theirs right now. I think they're freaking
Andrew
awesome.
Schultz is hilarious.
Yeah. And so they delivered as expected.
He just walks such a fine line with the like racism, and he's
Right.
always right on the edge of it. Sometimes offside, sometimes.
Yeah.
And even if he says a joke that's like the whole crowd is like, ooh, he's just right away. Shut up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Shut up. This is a joke.
Yeah.
He doesn't hold back on anybody.
Nope.
So it's okay because he goes in hard on any. Doesn't matter who you are. He'll make fun of Muslims 1 minute. And he's making fun of Jewish people the next minute. And
That's
then he's
right.
making fun of
He-
Christians this minute.
Yep.
He'll make fun of everybody.
That all happened.
Yep.
That all.
Are we talking about Shane Gillis?
No.
Andrew
Schultz.
Schultz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
all
pretty
of
funny at
those.
some point when he's like, hey, we got any Jews in the crowd? And there's like, I don't know, there's like 50 people like, woo! And he's like, you guys never learn, do you? He's like, a guy shows up with my haircut and this mustache, asks if there's any Jews in the crowd. You guys are like, right here, ready to get on the train. Like
It was so funny. Just no survival instinct. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's tough. Like they both were so good. I
Yeah, they
didn't
were
see
pretty
Kevin
close to
Hart, like
on par for me.
yeah, like both of them were great.
Yeah.
What'd you do for the rest of the weekend? Why couldn't you stay?
I went back down south to Calgary
Yep.
early in the morning, met up with some other buddies and did some golf.
How'd you do?
Actually, not bad for me. 92.
Okay. Where'd you play?
Golf course out just outside of Calgary called Serenity.
Okay.
It's actually nice. 36 holes. The course is probably 8 years old, so they're putting the finishing touches on the clubhouse finally. And
Nice.
yeah, it's a pretty decent little spot. And then I had a buddy of mine who works for one of the major beer companies in Canada, and he got us some cheap tickets, free tickets to one of the shows at one of the tents because Calgary Stampede was still.
Nickelback.
It was not Nickelback, unfortunately.
you should've
That
went.
would have been amazing.
My sister sent me a video from there.
Yeah,
From
I didn't know
Nickelback?
that. Yeah, I didn't know that they were playing in Calgary.
yeah.
I didn't know-
Obviously, they were.
The tickets were not cheap.
I
didn't
guess.
know Nickelback was still a thing.
Oh, they're big
They're
again.
back.
Yeah, they're
They're
big
back.
again. They just played Craven here this
back.
weekend, and yeah, lots of positive feedback from the community.
That's a lot going on this weekend.
Yeah,
Hey?
yeah.
Like for Craven to be happening at the same time as this great outdoor comedy festival at the same time as Stampede, it's like,
It's like every city decided they were gonna put something on.
yeah, that's they should have planned that.
Saskatoon was like, we're gonna sit this one out.
Yeah,
So is that
When
like
you
all
have-
of your festivals in one weekend?
Well,
It's
well,
over
then
now.
You have 6 weeks of summer. There's going to be some overlap.
Yeah, see, I'm not used to that. We have 6 weeks of winter.
I'm gonna turn this thing off, this Instagram thing off, so we can.
Somebody, I was talking to our business coach, and he was on a call this morning with one of his other clients, and he said that guy's rep from Texas was
Holy shit!
up to visit.
I missed that call.
Yeah, that's okay. I got you.
You were on it?
Yep.
What time did you get here?
3:30. He got here at 3:30. I walked in.
Oh, you made me miss that call. Whew,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was my fault.
Nope. I walked in,
I was
sat down, and did it, and then I have a little wee bit of stuff that I have to like report back to you, but
Okay.
that's it.
I look forward to this call every week, and I knew that today I had to call at 3:30, and then I just realized now that I totally blew it because you guys walked in the door and it was over.
So he mentioned that another rep from Texas area had made their way up to Canada today, and he was just like, that seems very strange. And I was like, well, it's probably 120 there. They're likely
Yeah.
looking to get out of Texas. I was like,
Everybody's looking to leave right now.
let's go to Canada. It should be cold enough.
Enough.
It's cold enough. It's only 90.
However, last time I was in Canada, it was warmer there
Yeah.
than it was in Texas.
Yep.
And with your little bitty ass air conditionings that can't keep up, I was dying.
Yeah. Well, we have to use them to plug our cars in. Now we can't use the power for air conditioning. We have to plug cars in.
See, we're built in, at least in Texas, for triple digit temperatures. You guys are built for negative temperatures. It's
Yeah.
the exact opposite.
Negative doubles.
Yeah. I would die.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, let's not pretend that you wouldn't.
Yeah. And there is an equal or greater chance that I would die if it hit 114. Like there's a real chance that I wouldn't make it.
You should see how much this guy sweats when it's like
5.
95. Like
It's pretty.
it's incredible.
It's horrific.
Yeah, we're built to withstand minus 40 to 120 Fahrenheit. That's our range. Your range is like 80 to 130.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do.
We just haven't moved.
Very adaptable.
What else do you have for interesting? What did you get? You just got a new tattoo, I think.
Yeah, I got a
You told me about it.
raven on my
Yeah,
elbow.
look at that.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. What's
Raven.
that for?
Raven is the guardian of souls to the afterlife.
Okay.
If you look at any battlefield, recreation, whatever you want to call it, there's always ravens picking at the dead.
Yes.
And the idea from multiple cultures, Norse culture, other cultures, the raven transports the souls of those who died in battle to the afterlife.
Okay.
So it's kind of a homage to the people I lost when I was in the Marines.
Yeah.
Combat and other suicide and different things like that.
I had no idea that was a thing. That's cool to know.
Yeah.
That the Ravens
Yeah.
were that?
Yep. Had no idea. Now
So-
I know.
Now you know.
Yeah, that's a thing. And multiple cultures believe that, or it's a symbol. So a lot of times people, if there's a funeral and there's a crow or a raven at the funeral, that's
That's a good sign.
Interesting. The more you know.
Have you lost a few buddies to like post
so
like suicide or
to
whatever?
to this day. I've lost 14 people that served with me
Yeah.
/ under me, and only 3 were in combat.
God, isn't that crazy?
Holy.
Everybody talks about that. Everybody talks about how dangerous it is, like in combat, and it's like it's way more dangerous to come home. Actually,
Yeah, yeah. I carried a lot of guilt for many, many years because as their leader, I felt like I should have been there for them more. And
even after,
after,
right? Yeah.
I should have looked out for them more. I should have been the person that they could rely on when they were in the worst spaces, headspace, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And because they didn't feel like they could rely on me, I carried a lot of guilt about that for a really, really long time.
Yeah, and it's wild because you guys do, like, everybody does that at such a young age, right? Like, you're all in your mid-20s.
Yeah. I joined a month after I graduated high school.
Yeah, so you're not quite 19.
I was 23
Korey's age.
when I got out.
He
So-
just looks young.
Not quite.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man. You're 23 years old, you come out of there, and then you think that you should have enough responsibility. Like, you believe that you should have been responsible for all those people. It's like I know a lot of people at 23 that are still living in that. It's not true. But I know people that are the age of 23 that are living in their parents' basements right now. They haven't even started to live their life.
Yeah.
And you're walking around being like, oh, I blew it. I needed to save those 9. It's like, no,
Yeah.
you don't need to save those 9. That's actually the government's job, right? You come back and it's like, they're supposed to help. So if the multi-trillion-dollar organization can't put it together, then certainly not Scott.
Sure. And there's a lot of truth to that, but still, personally, as their leader,
Yeah.
That's been something that recently, by recently I say the last 3 or 4 years, that I've been able to get past.
Yep.
But I carried that for a really, really long time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good you're getting past it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
cool.
Do you feel like, we can move on after this, but do you feel like, I feel like that kind of aligns around the same time that you started to take your personal health more seriously and your mental health more seriously?
It's all around the same time,
It's like getting in a better space yourself physically and mentally helped you deal with that.
100%. And I tell people all the time, my physical health transition is just a manifestation of my mental health improvement. And part of the reason I work out, exercise, do what I do all the time without fail is because if I get up in the morning and I crush my workout, I know I'm not a piece of shit for the day.
Right.
And I know I can do hard things, and anything else that comes my way, I know it's no big deal because I've already done harder shit first thing in the morning than 90% of people are going to do the rest of the day. So anything else that comes my way is not a big deal. Like, I don't get stressed out at work much. I don't freak out much. People can call me think the world's on fire, and I can usually stay pretty calm. And it all kind of aligns with me taking my physical health, my mental health, the health of my marriage, and all of these things to another level. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. I'm still stuck in the waking up feeling like a bag of shit period of my life. It's like, I got to work on that.
It goes back to what I said earlier about the negative self-talk and how if we allow ourselves to speak to ourselves in a way that we would never allow somebody to talk to our wives or children or our parents, but it's okay for us to talk to ourselves that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
Well,
Okay.
now you're going to start being a life coach. Does the team at Fortress know that you're about to leave and start being the boss that you are? This would be the moment, I guess. They just found out.
There you go.
Maybe.
All right. Well, that segue wasn't quite as strong as your last one, Wade, but about Fortress.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I even said that at the start. I introduced you guys by name. Did I say much about
Yeah.
that they're here? Okay. So they're here.
Well, there's really
There's
only
two fine young fellows.
4 people that listen to this, so.
Both work for Fortress Building Products. And so the reason Scott's finally been able to make it up to our neck of the woods, we've been stocking Fortress for, I don't know.
7 years.
Yeah, quite a while. But
Since you opened McCara.
Fortress Aluminum
Yeah, I
Railing
guess, right?
has been from the very start.
But the distributor in Saskatoon hasn't stocked it, like where we buy it from. That specific location hasn't, I guess, officially been. That's how you explained it to me
Right.
last week. It hasn't officially been a stocking dealer until now. It all came out of a different location. Now that it's officially a location, Scott's like, well, now nobody's going to question this little.
Right. Even though I've been telling you I was going to come up here for almost 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, the smoke is pretty deep up my ass at this point. It's like I can almost taste the smokiness. But anyways, so like this is not sponsored, but tell me all about Fortress. No, like you guys have some stuff that's kind of like hot topic this year a little bit that's taken off for you. I don't know that you have much like brand new products, but some additional things to existing product you have.
You know, we've added some new elements to the framing system. We added a 6x6 post, 20 foot tall. That kind of limited some applications in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Have you
So,
picked one of those up?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a piece of steel. Hey?
Talk about breath work.
What do you think I use for my workouts?
Yeah.
I just-
half of one.
You know, the Highland games where they walk around with the pole and just
Yeah.
throw it around. That's what I do with
The Tabor toss, right?
Yeah,
Like what is the weight on those
Oh,
for real? Do you know?
a lot.
I don't know. We had 2 6-foot chunks in our yard in Saskatoon, and it was all I could do to move those around.
Yeah.
They're big.
It's a beast.
Yep.
That we've added a couple of new brackets to make applications a little easier. We're getting ready to come out with a new tile support / blocking piece.
Oh, is that not readily available yet?
No.
Okay.
It's en route to be available.
Gotcha.
This summer, into the summer. And then we've
That's a good time to launch a product, eh? In the middle of the season.
You can stock up for it for next year.
That's right. That's the idea. Get at the end of the season so we can do all the testing and have the social media exposure. So
Yeah.
spring next year,
Ready to roll.
ready to roll.
Okay.
A few new pergola applications, some of the parts and pieces to build pergola.
Nope.
No,
That's not how I'd say it.
You stay right where you were.
Okay. You never know.
You do now.
Okay.
You say pergola, don't you?
Yeah.
Like not
No.
like Texans?
We say pergola.
Do you?
Yeah,
Good
pergola.
for you.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. But I know some of your
You're smarter than I thought you were.
people say pergola.
The cedar people
Not
say
us.
pergola.
What about Ontarians? Ontarians? What about Simcoe?
What's he say?
Mike, do you say pergola? I feel like those goofy Ontarians
Yeah.
would say pergola.
They do.
Yeah,
And
they're
I know
goofy. They're also the ones that say hoose
the Frenchies.
and oat.
I know the Frenchies say it.
Yeah, we don't expect anything different.
So there's that. The Axis horizontal railing's fairly new, but that's still, I don't know if you guys can do that up here, the horizontal railing.
We can. Not in all of Canada. It ends up being sort of like
Everywhere but Ontario.
I thought that Manitoba was the last holdout.
No, it's Ontario. Manitoba just changed the
Oh, was it Manitoba that went and it was
rule
just
for this year.
just Ontario? Okay.
anyways. Yeah, we can.
So those are the new products. We have a couple of new programs coming out. We're starting regional masterclass trainings.
Okay.
Where people can go to a active job site
Yes.
and learn how to install steel framing from other contractors.
That's fun.
Instead of doing it in a controlled classroom where everything's perfect and you don't really learn the tricks and tips of what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Doing it on a live, active, real job site with a real contractor in the middle of an install.
Yeah.
So we're working on doing those. You know, that's what I was in Ontario for a few weeks ago. We
Okay.
did the first one as a kind of beta test.
Yep.
We're getting ready to do one soon. with a select individual in the New England market that we all know.
Mike from America.
Yeah, Mike from America, right?
Okay, so here's a question to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
How many kids do you want on this live site? Because Shane's got a bunch.
If they're willing to work, I'll take them.
They're not.
Oh, no, they're just there to cause
I don't know Canadian labor laws, so we might have to discuss that.
It's true.
I don't know. Either.
Go ahead.
The alternative framing world now is a little convoluted, and there's plenty of products out there that are gaining traction in their own markets and whatnot. So you've got your composite framing that's out there. Sorry, composite framing that's out there. And you've got your aluminum framing systems out there, and then you guys are steel. When you run into a new dealer or a new contractor and you're trying to pitch them on using steel, how do you respond to the questions of like, well, like I saw this composite framing, it looks pretty good. What makes yours better?
So I'm a very big proponent. I will never bash another product ever.
Okay, well, next question then. I'm going to try and dig up shit here, Scott.
That's so boring. How do you feel about bashing people?
I'll bash
I'll
people.
give you some
I'll
names.
bash people all day. But no, I talk about applications and talk, I think every alternative framing out there has a place.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There are applications that some are better.
Yeah.
Those applications are few and far between, but they're out there.
Yep.
Like if somebody wants to build a deck in the middle of salt water, there is a product that is better than ours.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right?
Agreed.
So there are applications, and I'll usually bring that up. But however, in your market, this will benefit you, and I'll lay out the benefits. Now, one of the biggest benefits compared to most other alternative framing out there is Fortress used to be the most expensive option.
Yeah.
Now it is, as far as alternative framing goes, we're the value option.
Is it really?
So
Interesting. Okay.
I know somebody who has priced one of the aluminum frame systems that came out to be almost double what.
Wow. So yeah, I hadn't actually known. Like obviously we know kind of where the Fortress falls because we sell it, but as far as the composite and the aluminum systems, all you ever hear from them is like it's about the same as steel, and so it's like, oh, okay, well, whatever that means. But interesting to hear that.
So where those numbers come from is people will put and price joist to joist, and if you look at just that,
Sure.
they are
Where
very,
you get them as
very
the
similar.
spans.
Where you get them as the spans, and if you look at total project cost,
Right.
that's where the difference is realized,
Gotcha.
right?
That makes sense because one of the drawbacks to me in the composite space, at least, and maybe the aluminum too, is the spans. It's like much shorter than you could even achieve with wood sometimes.
That's exactly where it is. So a lot of people like to compare. They'll go get a 16-foot joist and compare a wood 16-foot joist, a composite 16-foot joist, a steel joist, and an aluminum joist, all the same size, and look at the price variations there.
Yeah, okay.
And they base their analysis off of one piece
Right.
versus the entire what it takes to actually build the deck.
Yeah. And then they're also not including the pieces that aren't your SKUs, like the screw
Correct.
piles or whatever that go in. It's like, no, you're forgetting that's an important part.
Right.
Yeah.
3 versus 6.
Right.
Yes.
Like that's a $1,500 difference. So yeah.
Those are things I talk to people about when they bring up that scenario. Is you're absolutely right. If you look at just a joist, prices are very similar.
Yeah.
But when you consider spans, the composite decking out there, if you look at their spans and the amount of deflection they allow, is drastically more deflection allowed on the spans they have. Also, some of those people out there include the cantilever in their span. It can be a little misleading.
Heard that, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll usually touch on some of those things of just where the differences are versus this is a piece of shit. This is why you shouldn't. That doesn't serve anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are the things that you find, and Korey, you can pitch into if you like, but because you both talk to people and stuff, what is the kind of maybe the top 3 or 2 things that people are scared about? What the hell was that?
Your phone's connected
Have
to
it on
it?
do not disturb and everything. But when you're talking to somebody new about it, a contractor specifically, or even a dealer, about like, hey, try steel. What's aside from price, what is the hesitation that they have? And how do you talk them through that?
The biggest hesitation is probably the unknown
Yeah.
You know, a typical deck builder builds PT, and they probably at this point don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah.
They just know. They know that they need this for this and this for that, and this hanger goes here and blah blah blah. So I think that's kind of the big stepping point that I find is, do I really want to take the extra time, the extra labor time to work through this first one?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm pretty straightforward with most of the contractors I talk to too. And it's like, look, this first one's gonna be a little bit of a pain in the butt.
It's gonna
right?
suck. You're not gonna make any money at this one.
Like
This first one.
But I'll be out on site with you, and we'll walk you through, like, this is why this is good. And then what I've seen in the deck builds that I've done is that you get the S ledger hung up, you get the beam and the post up, and then you start putting joists in, and you can almost see the light bulb go off. It's like, oh boy, right? Because now you're just pounding joists onto those ledger brackets. You're lining up your beam blocking, and you've got that whole thing joist in an hour.
Yeah, because that's where it starts to slow down on wood framing.
Right.
Right? And all of a sudden you're sorting and planing and cutting blocking and all that crap. And all of a
Right.
sudden you get to that spot and you're like, oh,
Done.
it's still moving fast.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
There's a couple of other things that I do along with what Korey said. You know, Forbes released a report a few years ago that said the construction industry is the last to adapt to anything new and innovative. Right? Mm-hmm. Look at how long has composite been out?
Yeah.
Right? There's still only 40% of the decking market.
Yeah.
How long have cell phones been out? Everybody has a cell phone.
Yeah.
Some people have 2 and 3 cell phones, right? So the rate at which we adopt technology versus adapting in the construction industry is skewed.
Yeah.
So a lot of people want a slower, easier integration. So I'll bring up to those people the fact that we warranty each part and piece individually. And if you can find a way to integrate one piece, you can start slowly. Say you want to use just the beam to get
Right.
the span. You can build the rest with your wood joist if you want,
Yeah.
or build just your stairs so you don't have weak points on your stringers. Stringers are the first place for failure and rot to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll bring up little ways people can slowly integrate, and that
Yeah, the beam thing is genius.
I was like, the beam is the easiest one to sell for sure, because you can on walkouts or
Absolutely.
tall decks, you could save a post.
and
Done.
that alone will get a lot of people to start trying things, and then they'll start slowly adding more and more and more until they're doing.
Yeah. Once you
whole
get that part and you make that first cut, and then you're like, well, why am I still pissing around with wood joists?
Yeah.
At some point,
Exactly.
they're going to have that moment.
Exactly. So that's an approach I take with people who are really resistant. You know, I'll ask them, tell me about the typical deck you build, and how much would a 20-foot span benefit you?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I leave it. So start integrating the beams.
Yeah. And that's like, so there's a, what do I want to call it? There's an omen in my head that I've ran into a lot in the marketing and sales world that I just shared in our call earlier today too, about a confused customer never buys. And so to your point right there, it's like, it's the unknown. That's why people don't buy or don't dive in right away. Cause they're like, I don't know what I'm getting into. I know wood. I can knock a deck out now, right now with wood. I don't want to have to learn again. Yeah. But the convenient thing about your system, and even Owens Corning system, is like, it's very familiar, very different between you two, but you both have managed to, like, you guys have put the system together where it's just kind of foolproof. It's actually easier than wood.
It's a system.
It's different, but it's a lot closer to woodwork than the old Trex elevation system ever was. So that is good for you. And then for Owens Corning, it's like they can also make that claim. It's like, no, cuts and nails just like wood. And it's like, that's such a huge benefit over the ones that are like really have to be taught and you really have to understand.
Yeah.
Because that's the first roadblock is like, no, I already know this. I don't want to change. Why?
Sure.
Yeah.
There's definitely some, you start to put some of the parts together in front of someone, even if it's just the small cut pieces, and they can kind of see how that can help them in the long run. And, I say it kind of in jest, but it's true. It does turn into adult Lego, right? Like you can basically build out whatever you want the same way you would. You just need to know which pieces are going for what. And
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
and like I said, that first one, it's going to be a bit of a learning curve, but then that second one, you're
Yeah,
going to
so
build a little faster.
Make
and
sure
that
you
third
charge
one and that
lots
fourth
for
one.
that first
Right.
one, right?
Right.
Charge it.
You know what?
Twice what you normally would.
You know what I've seen though is that it's pretty rare to see a guy do it one time and then be like, nah, back to wood.
Yep.
Most guys that do
Right.
one, then they're like, oh yeah, that's all I'm doing now.
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as they get that first one out of the way.
Like I think compound he's working his way towards that. He did one. Boy, did he do one last year? Maybe he did a pergola last year,
He
and
did
then he
a
did
pergola
Did a
last year.
pergola, yeah.
Multiple pergolas last
did a few pergolas last year. Then did a build for us this spring,
Mm-hmm.
and then when he came back from that build, he started he just now pitches that to all of his jobs. People are like, we should do a deck, and he's like, you should do steel framing, and he pitches it.
So here's not all, but a lot of the contractors who have the most success selling steel frame, they all offer that first,
Yeah,
but the majority of them have some type of waiver that they have to sign to switch to wood, saying that they're not responsible for the rotting, warping, checking, cracking.
how
and
good is that?
list
eh?
all of the natural what did it say?
Characteristics.
Natural tendencies of wood framing.
Right?
And they have to sign a waiver saying that the contractor is not responsible if any of these things happen.
Can you believe that? And you'd be like, you'd put everything in there. You'd be like, miter opens up, not me. That's
Yep.
your framing
Yeah, because
change.
to the homeowner, they're not signing they're not signing a thing that says you're not responsible for it. They're signing something that says, I'm okay with all of these things.
Yep.
That's right.
I have to put my name on this. I'm okay with cracking and
Yep.
warping and
I know
My boards
shrinking and-
won't be the same.
well, I don't think I am
It'll-
okay with it.
it'll
Why
be
why
a-
would I want that?
the deck will be
Precisely.
wavy, and it's like, what?
I know my deck in New Jersey
Genius.
does that. I know Legacy in South Carolina does that. I know some of the people in Colorado do that. They all have these waivers that they will build a wood deck, but the homeowner has to sign a waiver.
My goodness, man. And then you just plant that seed of doubt. You're
That's
like,
right.
Here you go. Even if they sign it, I'll bet you 30% of them phone the next day and are like, I've changed my mind. I don't want to do wood.
That's happened quite a few times that they'll rethink their decision because of that waiver and call them back and say, let's go ahead and go with the.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, and anybody building with wood should have that clause somewhere because you see it from time to time on those posts or on the Facebook forums. Guys will post oh, they did a wood railing and there's a 4x4 post with a giant check up it and the customer's losing their mind or expects them to fix it. And it's it's wood, dude. But if you don't address that before you start, now it just looks like you're making excuses.
Well,
so you got to do something.
we all know the quality of wood has changed drastically.
Yeah, way better than it used to be.
I don't know if I've told you all this story, but my family has land in Texas that we lease out to a logging company that grows yellow pine, which is what most people in the United States use for their pressure treated.
Yes.
When I was young, like a baby, they would log the land every 35 years and cycle through different areas. Now they log every 7 years.
Yeah.
So same size tree, but between genetic modifications and different things like that, they're logging 7 years versus 35 years, and the space between the growth rings is drastic. That's why you cut your bundle of lumber and you have 17 hockey sticks immediately, and then by the time you get it out to the job site and it sits for a few days, it's worse. Then you build your frame and you plane it down and it's even worse.
Yeah.
And it's almost all of it is due to either the chemical changes that have happened recently in the last 7 to 10 years, or the amount of growth time that's being allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 90% of that is density, right? It's just not.
100%.
Yeah, it's just not strong anymore.
Yeah.
All that fast cut.
But people don't understand the science behind that.
No, because you get someone that is maybe a little bit more senior and they come up to you and they're like, well, why would I need this? I built my deck 30 years ago and it's still fine. And it's like, go cut one of those pieces down and breathe in the fumes and tell me how you feel, right? It's
Probably start hallucinating,
It's-
seeing
yeah,
doors
right?
and
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's
It's
happening.
literal poison that they used to put on that stuff.
Because when was that? I don't remember when arsenic was banned in treatment. Was it 2012? Is that roughly
Yeah.
what kind of line to your
Yeah,
somewhere around
probably.
there?
Yeah.
So it's you get these people that are and of course it's often an old carpenter
Right.
who's supposed to
Yes.
have all the knowledge. And
Right.
so then if you've got people disagreeing, he's no, it's fine because this. It's well, people are going to believe him because they don't know better.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's like he doesn't know better either. It's
Right.
like you ain't using the same wood, dude. So yeah, it's an interesting time. There's certainly the door has been kicked wide open for alternative framing methods because
And I welcome all these companies coming along because it gives us, as one of the early adopters, validity in what we're doing.
100%.
And then the fact that they're exponentially more expensive than us just makes us even more attractive.
Yeah.
So I welcome it.
Yeah.
There's definitely a rising tides lifts all boats
100%.
scenario in the alternative framing
In a
market.
change that big in building materials, it's good to not be the only guy singing because it's easy to dismiss you when you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you would say that. That's what you
Right.
sell.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's certainly a market that's. I mean, you look at that's happened how many times in history with different products, but
Sure.
it's like, whether it's a media change like DVD and Blu-ray, Blu-ray and HD DVD at the time, it's like you need a competitor to help you create that category. Even
Sure.
doing it by yourself is pretty tough. So yeah,
Well, I think it's starting. Like I'm seeing it. I don't want to speak out of turn here, but based on what I've seen, you guys have probably done 4 or 5 frames and a couple pergolas already this year.
yeah, I haven't looked, but it certainly feels as though we're putting out more of it this year than we ever have.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's happening across the board. I know even just talking with some of my distributor reps, they're like, what's going on this year? It's like the word's getting out.
yeah.
It's been slow, but the word's getting out, and every time someone else touches this thing for the first time, they're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
Yeah. Well, if every person influences 1 or 2 more people, then of course it's going to start off slow. But you go from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to the whole compounding
that-
thing is
Have you seen that chart where it's like if you put a penny away
oh yeah.
and double it,
Right.
is it 30 days? It's just like some insane amount of money.
it's like $280,000 or something.
Yeah. But to that point, without talking
Out of
dollars,
10. Oh.
we're 137% over last year in frame sales.
Crazy.
So
Yeah, like we
growth
got
is
in
there.
early on it. Like we
I think we were
Chuck
part of. I
as soon
think
as
we were
we-
the first can that actually came across. We might have been.
Probably.
I believe we might have been the first stocking dealer in Canada. Western Canada, I know for sure.
Yeah.
Might have been one other place out east. I can't remember. So we got in early. It was like slow moving because the entire category was slow moving.
Sure.
But yeah, it seems to me like I'm not even really paying much attention to it anymore. I'm sure that first year or two, I was like refreshing the screen, like, come on, more steel. And now I don't pay enough attention, but I'm seeing our own contractors posting pictures like, oh shit, another steel job out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Hope they got
That's
it
good.
from us. That's
Yeah.
what you say.
Yeah. What else? Anything else we want to talk about? We have a reservation for dinner. It's dinner because it was planned. It's a reservation. So
That's how you know.
supper, but which have to
And
leave
we have an
for right
American
away, but-
friend with us, so for sure it's dinner because of that.
Dinner or supper for you? Dinner.
Dinner.
It's always dinner. He's
Is
from the
it
States.
ever supper? Is that even in your vocabulary?
My grandparents used to say supper.
Really, it's a generational thing. It's like fading away.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Did they ever say Chesterfield?
Only when referring to a city.
Okay, so no.
Are you a soccer fan?
I am.
Did you watch it on the weekend?
Yes.
Who are you cheering for?
Argentina.
That didn't go well.
He wasn't watching the game that you were hoping he was.
You weren't watching the last
He wasn't
one.
watching the
Argentina
LeBron
won.
place.
Were they?
game.
Yeah.
Argentina won.
Oh, against
And then-
England.
No. Spain and England
Dude, you're-
played.
The Copa.
There
Argentina
was
won
two.
the Copa.
There was two. There was the Copa
Right.
America.
Yeah.
And then there was the Euros.
Oh, yeah. Not that one.
Euros was Spain and England. Copa was Argentina and Colombia.
Correct.
Gotcha. You want
And
to
you
know?
watched Uruguay and Canada.
I didn't watch anything.
For the third-
You want to know who doesn't watch soccer at this table?
This guy.
This guy.
Hey, Canada did well. I
They
was
did
impressed.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We only have 4 soccer fields. It's because the ice is out.
Canada did better than the U.S.
Yeah. There was a thing that they showed in that Copa tournament.
because they had a
the,
U.S. coach.
the best.
We gave you the Stanley Cup. We took the soccer.
We have now placed as high as any North American team ever has in Copa because the U.S. is also one time placed 4th.
Yeah.
We have now placed 4th.
Okay.
And Mexico had placed, I can't remember what their highest ranking ever was, but it was like
Not 4th.
pretty good run this year.
Yeah, it was good.
How did the Stanley Cup go anyway?
It went down to Florida. Yep.
What sport's that?
Yeah.
That was the one where we spotted you 4,
Son of a.
spotted you 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops.
The old watch this backfired on us there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Almost.
That was a phenomenal series. If I could watch, if all NHL finals were like that, it'd be amazing. Like they were fantastic.
I thought you guys were going to take it.
I did too. I thought when we won,
Certainly had the momentum.
I thought when we won Game 6, I actually thought Florida was going to win Game 6 in Edmonton, and then when Edmonton won that one, and it went back to Florida, I was like, oh boy, I wouldn't want to be getting ready in that dressing room, being like, yeah, we brought it home.
Yeah, why are we even here
We
right
shouldn't
now?
be here. We should have won
Especially
this.
when they talked about how Florida had brought a lot of the family and stuff to
Game
Edmonton
5?
to watch
Yeah.
what they were hoping would be the winning thing. And then
Yeah.
it's like Game 6 are like, we're not going to do that again.
Yeah.
We're just going to leave them home.
That's got it. Like
Or
even
Game 4, they took
even
them.
the most like professional or cold-blooded athletes, that's got to play into your head, right? You're flying all the family in, you're
Oh,
flying
yeah.
the wives and the kids in, right? And it's like you can't help but think it's like, I've got this,
On the 4th game,
right?
Right, you were going to
Just
sweep them.
won 3 pretty handily.
Yeah.
I don't know whose decision that would be to fly the whole family, everybody up there, but I would like,
But how do you not?
I'll bet you, you don't.
You don't.
Nope, you don't.
That was a bold move.
You
That
have
is a
to know.
bold move.
They do that everywhere, though, in every sport,
Yeah.
every year. That
Yeah, but on the
You have to
sweep,
know it's a bad omen.
on the sweep, I would do it on the Game 6 that went back to Edmonton. I wouldn't do it on the sweep on the 4th, because
Yeah.
like they got to the NHL, they got to the Stanley Cup final.
yeah.
It's like they don't get swept. Not there. Has there ever been a sweep in the finals? Corey, you're the only one that would know.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't ask me when.
It was in
but there is.
'78.
Yeah. I'm not that good, but close enough.
Okay, well, we got to get to supper. So, Scott, thanks for joining us. Thanks
Yeah,
for making
man.
the trip
Thanks
up
for
here.
having me.
And Corey, and
Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah. I
now
appreciate
you'll
it.
know a little bit more about
See you guys.
Corey and Scott and Fortress. See you next week.
Hey, thank you for listening to the Ultimate Deck Podcast. Now you know what we're about. Check the site, come and shop. UltimateDeckShop.com. Hit us right away for sponsorships or tell us if you want to collaborate. Let's go. Check us out on any social networks. Thank you for listening.